Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Straight Fire Picks. Best bets for NFL Week 5 on Sunday, October 10th, 2021. My name is Steve, and we're going to have 6 picks here for you for the NFL Week 5 slate that I think are great value bets. As always, just want to thank you all for your continued support in the channel. If you are new to the channel here today, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that. Really helps us grow the channel. A couple quick announcements. We have that live stream coming up on Monday Night Football this Monday, October 11th, starting at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Always have a lot of fun at those. It's a great way to connect with the community here. Always have a great time. Also, be sure to check out our new Discord server. It's a great way to connect with our community as well and discuss anything involved in sports as far as betting goes. We just recently opened that up, so it's a little slow here getting off the ground, but we will be improving and improving over time. That's what we're going to be doing here. So bear with me. You know, everything's not moving at the speed of light, but we are working on improving everything that we do here at the channel. So check that out. Also, place your favorite bet down below. Your favorite bet this week in the NFL could be included in our comment cappers section for a winning bet. So if you put a pick down below with odds, we will include that in our comment cappers section. So be sure to do that. Getting right into our comment cappers section from last week, we had one call out in the chat back in last week. It was got to get the bag calling the under on Russell Wilson passing yards. Under 262.5 passing yards for Russell Wilson, minus 115 odds. Cash that one. Very well done there. Got to get the bag. That was the only call out in the chat. We had a winner. So also check the chat for winners, guys, because Got to Get the Bag puts out a lot. The Magic Man puts out a lot. Gloria puts out a lot. KJ Philly 5-teamer. They all have great ideas for bets, so be sure to check that out as well. As far as our results on stream, we went 2-4 last week. Cashed both of our player prop bets. Sam Darnold over 24.5 completions. And Jalen Hurts over on the passing yards there versus the Chiefs. Cashed those fairly easily. As far as our spreads and our unders, just did not have any luck on that front. We had the Rams minus 4.5 versus the Cardinals, and the Cardinals completely dominated the Rams. Caught me off guard there for sure. And starts to make me think, are the Cardinals for real? Valid question now, I think. We had Bills over 2 touchdowns in the first half versus the Texans. This was just a monsoon of a game. I was actually at this game. And Bills had plenty of opportunities in the red zone. In my opinion, I think if the weather was good, I think we would have had a great chance here to at least get a push. But what can you do? Sometimes these things happen. And it is definitely worth checking the forecast before the game as well to decide if you want to be in on a bet like that or not. We had the under 50.5 points in the Panthers-Cowboys game. And the Cowboys offense did more than I thought they would do for sure. Panthers coming in with that number 1 defense coming into the game, and the Cowboys lit them up. So you had that. And then we had the Bucs minus 6.5 spread versus the Patriots. Again, this ended up being a much closer game, I think, than I anticipated, and a lot of other people anticipated. I think a lot of people anticipated Tom Brady going in there, really putting it on his former team, but it was a lot closer. So Bucs still won. But hey, 2-4 for the episode. But we get after it this week. We want to get that 6-0. That's our hope. We'd be happy with 4-2 or 5-1 as well. So that's what we're going for. So we're going to get after it. Let's make some money this week. Getting right into our picks. At number 1, we're going with the under 46.5 points in the Jets-Falcons game at minus 115 odds. So I'm expecting nothing but sloppy football here overseas. This game's going to be played in London. And that is just not a great place for teams to score points lately. Right now, the under is 6-1 in the last 7 games played in London, with the highest of those under hits being 45. So we would cash, obviously, with all those as well. And there's just a lot of great trends here. In 6 of the last 8 Jet games, we've hit the under. In Atlanta's 4 out of 5 versus the AFC to the under as well. The under is hit in Atlanta games. So I like those trends. And obviously we have 2 just putrid offenses, just to tell it how it is. Calvin Ridley's not going to play as well. That's just an added bonus for this prop. You got, these teams 20th and 28th in passing yards. You got the Falcons at 20th, again, without Calvin Ridley this game. And you got the Jets at 28th in passing yards. And then, running the football, it gets no better. 25th and 29th in rushing. Falcons, Jets, respectively. So, yeah, this is going to be a sloppy football game. And the fact that it's being played over in London, I'm not expecting big things out of these teams or out of a rookie quarterback traveling overseas for the first time in his career. How's he going to adjust to that? I don't think he'll be ready for that at all. Not expecting big things from him. On the season, our last point to this, 14 total touchdowns between the Jets and the Falcons. To give you an idea of how bad that is, 7 teams have scored 14 or more touchdowns on their own. So that's not good, obviously. Both these offenses have not been getting it done. It's been a very poor start to the season for both of these offenses. And, defensively, the Jets are decent. And the Falcons are not that great either. But like I said, I'm not scared of Zach Wilson in this game. So take it there for your number one pick. Under 46.5 points in the Jets-Falcons game at minus 115 odds. Okay, and at number 2, we're rolling with the New Orleans Saints minus 2.5 spread versus the Washington Football Team at minus 105 odds. So, listen, the Saints are one of these Jekyll and Hyde teams lately, and, if it holds true, the trend holds true, we'll be on the right side of this. In weeks 1 and 3, the Saints look great. Go Saints. 2 dominant performances versus 2 okay teams, and versus the Packers and the Patriots. And then weeks 2 and 4, they were terrible versus the Panthers and now the Giants. So, if we're following the right trend, the odd trend in week 5, we should have a good Saints performance here. But no, keeping it real with you guys, I think there's more to the Saints team than people realize. I think the Saints are better than people think. Now, granted, yeah, they did lose to the Giants last week, but, let's be honest, it took a heroic effort there from Saquon Barkley to get them to overtime, and then obviously, Giants stole the momentum, won that game in overtime. Saints shouldn't have lost that game. Absolutely not. But I don't think they run it back and lose to a team like Washington. Washington's football team right now, their defense is just terrible. So I think Jameis will be able to have some success with Alvin Kamara and company. I think the Washington football team is going to struggle to really move the ball consistently against that Saints defense. Saints are 11th best as far as yards per game. They're 5th best as far as points per game. So they have a very, very solid defense there for the Saints. And obviously, you know the deal with the Washington football team. 29th in defense, yards per game. 30th in points per game at 30.5 points given up per game. So that defense has been awful. Could they get right this week against Jameis Winston, who's been very on and off this season? They could, but I don't see it happening. The problems for them look to be much bigger than just a 1-week fix. If you're giving up 30 to Atlanta, you have a lot of problems. You really do. Saints also hold the second best run defense in the NFL. I think that's one reason I really love this as well. And Washington football team needs that ground support for Taylor Heineke. They need Antonio Gibson to get going, and they're going to struggle to get that running game going. So, really love the Saints here on the road. They didn't disappoint me last time. We won up in New England when we called that one. So, I'm more than comfortable here running it here for our number 2 pick. Saints minus 2.5 spread versus the Washington football team at minus 105 odds. Okay, and at number 3, we do have a little bit of a homer pick here. We are going to go with the Detroit Lions plus 10 spread versus the Vikings at minus 110 odds. There's a few reasons why I really love this bet. For one, these two teams are actually very comparable statistically. And there's more to that also than just the stats. But Vikings are 26th so far in total defense. Lions are 21st. So actually Lions have the edge there. Vikings are 15th in total offense. Lions are 18th. So very comparable there as well. In the turnover category, Detroit is minus 1 on the year. Not bad. Minnesota is 0, is even. So very even there as well. As far as penalties go, Detroit has a slight edge there as well. Minnesota tied for 19th in penalties. Detroit 14th. And Minnesota is 1-3 on the season, guys. They scored 7 points last week versus the Browns. At home, did not play very well. Lost 14-7 there at home to a bummed Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's shoulder was bummed, and they still couldn't find a way to put it in the end zone and beat that team. So I don't expect them to beat the Lions by more than 10. I do expect Minnesota to win. I'm not going to ever call Lions win here in Minnesota. They're not ready for that. But they can keep this game close like they have in several contests this year. Lions have covered the spread in 3 out of 4 this year. versus the 49ers, the Ravens, who they should have beat. Everybody knows they should have beat the Ravens, right? It took NFL history for the Lions to lose that game. And then against Chicago, they also actually got the push on that spread, 24-14 loss. I was thinking if this was a 10.5. You can bump it up to 10.5, by the way, at minus 120 if you're more comfortable with that. But I'm comfortable with plus 10. I think the Lions will keep it plenty close. And honestly, Jared Goff has actually been okay this year, right? 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's actually been pretty solid. You got, Dalvin Cook on the side of the Vikings, a very vital piece of their offense. Likely not to play at this point. Not looking good. This is as of Friday night. Hasn't gotten in a full practice all week, so wouldn't expect him to play. And you got the Lions, to me, improving week to week, right? We talked about, before how they have a lack of wide receivers. Well, the wide receivers lately have stepped up. The 2 starting wide receivers for the Lions, Quintez Cephas and Amon-Ra St. Brown, 10 catches, 153 yards between the 2 of those guys last game. So to me, that's big. They need someone to step up in that passing game, and finally they're starting to get that production that they've been missing. And like I said, I see improvement in the Lions week to week. It's especially in that game against the Ravens. And even last week, they had opportunities in that Chicago game, and they just didn't cash them. There was stuff that happened where they could have made that a very, very close game and potentially could have competed to win there on the road, but couldn't quite execute when they needed to. But like I said, they're getting better week to week. So no way in my mind the Vikings cover this 10-point spread, so I love it there for our number 3 pick. Detroit Lions, plus 10 spread versus the Vikings at minus 110 odds. Okay, and at number 4, we are rolling with the under 47.5 points in the Browns-Chargers game at minus 114 odds. There's a few reasons why I really love this bet. For one, you don't have dominant scoring offenses here. You got teams that are very good offensively, but they don't put the ball in the end zone at a high rate because they can move the ball. They can methodically move the ball on you. So they don't put up a ton of points. 11th and 16th scoring offenses as far as the rank here. 11th for the Browns, 16th for the Chargers. So that's it's middle of the pack. That doesn't scare me. It's not like the Chiefs or even the Raiders, where you got to be really concerned about them hanging a really bad number on you. And both these teams have top 10 defenses as far as in scoring and total yards. The Browns defense has been absolutely cooking lately. They've given up 13 points in the last 2 weeks. So they've been absolutely rolling this Browns defense. You saw what they did to Justin Fields and even Kirk Cousins last week. They have done a terrific job defensively. And right now, I mentioned this in the previous pick when we were talking about the Vikings there. Baker Mayfield still has a bit of a bum shoulder, right? So what are the Browns going to look to do in this game? They're going to look to run that football. So I expect a lot of time to come off the clock, a lot of ball possession, right? And, of course, Herbert can throw it all over the lot, but I don't think he's going to have an easy time doing that at all. So, and, honestly, the Chargers are actually 3-1 versus this underline this year. They've played a bunch of games in the 30s. If you recall, 20-17 versus the Cowboys, 20-16 versus the Redskins, and then last week against the Raiders, 28-14. So, obviously, they've played a bunch of low-scoring games. Obviously, we know how talented they are, but like I said, they're very methodical, just like the Browns with that running game. So, I really love this under. So, take it right there for your number 4 pick, under 47.5 points in the Browns-Chargers game at minus 114 odds. Okay, and at number 5, we have an extra value pick here. We are going Dalton Schultz, anytime touchdown score versus the Giants at plus 230 odds. So I know you're like, this is a ballsy pick, Steve. That's plus 230 odds. You sure you want to do that? The odds makers are telling you that that's got about a 1 in 5 shot of hitting. Well, I disagree. And here's why. Dalton Schultz has been absolutely on fire lately the last 2 games. 15 targets in his last 2 games, 12 catches, 158 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's right. He scored last game versus the Panthers, and he had 2 touchdowns on Monday night versus the Eagles. So, honestly, I have a lot of confidence right now in Dalton Schultz and his connection with Dak Prescott. And then you look at the matchup, right? You talk about the New York Giants They have given up the most touchdowns to tight ends at 4. So they've given up a touchdown to a tight end in every game this year. And they've also given up the 5th most fantasy points to tight ends. So they're not good against tight ends at all so far. And both those games where Dalton Schultz went off, the last 2 games were at home, just like this game is going to be. And the last time Dalton Schultz played against the Giants, he had 7 catches, 70 yards. So he had a lot of success in that finale last year against the Giants as well. So really loving Dalton Schultz here. The attention obviously is going to have to be on CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. So you're going to get a lot of looks over the middle. And in my mind, on cashing this touchdown, you have about a 50% chance of cashing this or better, which is worth the payout, right? Plus 230. So I really love the value on this. Also, a recommendation, if you're looking for something else to play as far as on Schultz, look at his receiving line. I didn't have any access to that at this point. They didn't have it out. But look at his receiving line. If it's 50 or more, I would highly recommend it. Or 50 or less, I would highly recommend taking the over on it. So take it there for your number 5 pick. Dalton Schultz, anytime touchdown scorer versus the Giants at plus 230 odds. Okay, and at number 6, we are rolling with James Robinson over 59.5 rushing yards versus the Titans at minus 114 odds. So I love, the career success that James Robinson so far has had against the Titans in 2 games. He's got 169 yards on 28 carries versus the Titans, so a lot of success there. His carries the last 4 weeks, they've gone up and up each week, which is very smart. Urban Meyer has wisened up in each of the last few weeks, giving him more looks, which they absolutely should. And the Jaguars have been a lot more competitive. Go figure, right? He's one of their best playmakers on offense. They're going to have to go to him, especially with DJ Shark out. His carries have gone from 5, 11, 15, 18 carries last week. So he's getting more touches. He's got a decent matchup. Now, the Titans are pretty decent against the run this year statistically. They also are just coming off a game against the Jets. I've seen games where the Titans have given up plenty of rushing yards, namely to the Colts. Jonathan Taylor had 10 carries for 64 yards. I'm like, well, why weren't they giving him the ball more? The guy was averaging over 6 a clip. So, they are giving up 3.9 yards per carry to running backs, which is fine for this matchup. I think, like I said, the Jags are going to have to go to that running game. Trevor Lawrence is still not experienced enough to take advantage of a bad pass defense like he should be able to. Still a lot of work there for him to do. He's getting better, but still want to rely on James Robinson, right? He's a very talented back. You need to rely on him. And for James Robinson, obviously the last 2 weeks he's cashed this line easily. He had a great game last week against Bengals, about 80 yards rushing. Week before that, he had 88. So I love that. I love how he's trending. And like I said, I love his career success against the Titans. And honestly, I think the Titans, you could still run on the Titans. I know they rank technically inside the top 10, but I still think you can run on them. So take it there for your number 6 pick. James Robinson over 59.5 rushing yards versus the Titans at minus 114 odds. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for our picks for today. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that. Also, be sure to check out our Discord server. We're going to be really growing that here. So it's a great way to connect with the community in the chat, talk anything sports that you want to talk. And yeah. And also, if you want to participate in our Comic Cappers, please be sure to drop a pick down below or any thoughts that you have on the day for the NFL. We'd love to talk with you guys down in the comments as well. Other than that, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will catch you next time. Peace out.